So many protests, everyone is oppressed. Nobody has freedom at anyone else's expense. I must insist that civilization must cease to exist. I'm an anarcho-primitivist. We must resist empire and its many clients, they're all tyrants. My Xerxes-esque verses will burn down churches to murder perjurous neoconservatives for the disservice. They deserve it. Perdue correctly said, property is theft and influenced by Kunin. We need much more than a revolution. Progress is a myth. Technology inflicts pollution upon earth as persecution. Hence what Edward Abbey said was the industrial way of death. Civilization is self-destructive and meant to oppress. When ignoring the facts, some have resorted to an ad hominem, i.e. a personal attack. The appeal to hypocrisy is obviously a logical fallacy. To blame us for using technology while in civilization's clutches, as if blaming a cripple for using crutches. Anarcho-primitivism is what I believe in. There can't be freedom where there is authority, hierarchy, and other crimes of the civilized. I support nomadic forage of tribes. I call for liberation, so abolish civilization. Authority and hierarchy have divided us and lied to us. We have been told that our rights were recognized and wouldn't be denied. Empire has tried to deprive us of our skills that we needed to survive. The low-lives who hide behind a badge fabricate crimes to meet their quotas. They patrol us and enforce their war upon us. Empire and its apartheid has to end, and we need not let it slide ever again. We can easily resist them, and we will win. We outnumber and outwit the oppressors. We can do much more than merely demonstrate against them. They intend to arrest anyone who protests them, but we don't have to let them. If we had all been killed, then there'd be nobody to oppress when there's none of us left. I told them I won't tolerate the laws and hate they have caused for so many years. I made myself clear they didn't hear because they had lard in their ears. Yet we are precisely what their empire should fear. Much like the Irish volunteers, we are undefeated. Those who profit from apartheid have repeated their lies, but that doesn't make them come true. We must liberate the earth, as that's what we are obligated to do. I call for liberation, so abolish civilization. The apologists' arguments they brought in were all straw men, thus prompting the protagonist's bombardment of arrows shot at lawmen. Authorities worldwide are horrified, mortified. Our transmogrified rebellion, well, they hide, fortified. 'Twas more than insurrection or revolution, defying dystopia so disastrous. Recline on a throne and pass around a bone and laugh, right back at those who laugh at us. Sent far out to inexplicable dimensions of realms again, in spotted hyenas' dens, under dissociative anesthesia in the fens, feeling the frequencies applicable when chakras are cleansed. Scandalous manuscripts were found where there were alleged terrorists in the well-kept depths of the underground. I refer to the purr as an ambient sound while tearing down civilizations as I awaken to break through. Kedrick the head trip. Freak home in the streets singing caudation dantation without providing any translation or even an explanation. Big flat feet steadily stomp upon the agents of civilization. I do the best I can to lend a helping hand whenever I can. Arcane, I question how long I'll remain before I head back to Summerland. I condemn the civilized disregard for innocent lives. Troglodyte, rebel with spears and bows and arrows and obsidian knives. I'll walk upstairs that used to be there. Maybe somebody will deduce enough to care. I'll walk through walls like they haven't been built yet, inexplicably as chill as can get. A pterodactyloid from an extragalactic planetoid had enjoyed elaborate escapades devoid of dystopian disasters to avoid. Anthropomorphic arthropods depicted with ambiguous distortions vaguely stylized. There were paleoarchaeologists who knew about the antlers on the gods who utilized fruit for youth to revitalize.
natural sensory perception. Smoking a dispenser is most effective medicine. My precognition, I dream condition, researching independence, inevitably affecting evidentialism. Divine enlightenment is my entitlement when I write about syncretism. I'm a philosopher by definition because I love wisdom. I know it's a call for sedition, via prediction to cause a transition back to the feral humanity and with sincerity, with relentless temerity. I express solidarity. I have the emphasis of clarity. I'm an innovator, not an instigator. I'm a nature liberator against any discriminator. And I've been more than just a demonstrator. I pioneer being medicinal and high for years. So polarizing and divine and revered. I'll also despise and fear for being a broke rock star, just wise and weird. Not to digress from the point. I spoke up pregnant, second generation joint. I believe in anarcho-primitivism. I support brave cave women. Or the spell that they doubt left. That property is theft. I'm about to get improper and incorrect. I recollect an era when I had already rejected propaganda. I'm ahead of my time. I'm too eccentric to defy. I'm well read like many greats. I initiate resistance to state. Sedition will obliterate, goes to pillage and hate. I'll be correct like Edgar Casey. I'm the best, just wait. I'm condemning Bill Gates. I'm rebelling against states. I've detested many presidents and presidential candidates. The heads of state segregate, and they spread pestilence and hate. They fester and decay. I dig the Grateful Dead every day, for 'tis extra heady this way. Even in a decrepit, irreverent, desecrated state of dismay, in an irrelevant haze.
Ingenuity, continuity, congruity, acuity, facing scrutiny, raising mutiny, lucidly like a true gypsy. Kedrick the head trip, psychedelic epic, runic divination, therapeutic herb, mushrooms and roots. Induce this, intuitively influenced. Aesthetics of music, elusive, conducive to commemorative penmanship that's consecutive. Immaculate Om chant, astrological, philosophical like Immanuel Kant. Primordial, clairvoyant, I'm cognizant and benevolent. Embrace this and go scavenging with javelins. Shape shift into a makeshift spaceship. Traveling, rambling on to the Amazon's pantheon, where the feral, amiable animals and egalitarian heroines are jamming on Grateful Dead songs and recording electronic voice phenomenon. Classic, empathic, ecstatic, eclectic, eccentric, syncretic, authentic, poetic, aesthetic, telekinetic, telepathic. Sympathetic magic has conjured some pure ectoplasmic entity in this dead, heady tent city with its psychedelic hippies. Speak of equality and equity. We don't pray, we merely say blessed be, especially at the medicinal weed dispensary. We are defending peace with empathy. This be spiritual ecstasy. Everyone oppressed, every refugee gets our sympathy. Wizardry is giving me an epiphany apolitically. I exist to be instantly primitive and at peace. There has to be resistance to be free. Ingenuity, continuity, congruity, acuity, facing scrutiny, raising mutiny, lucidly like a true gypsy. To govern means to control, therefore to oppress. Warfare tears apart our planet. Humans have not made progress. People were deprived of peaceful lives when they became civilized. Yet humans were healthy when primitive. Now they're inflicted with illnesses which mostly didn't exist. In prehistory, there was liberty, equality, and peace. Now this planet's war-torn, polluted, and diseased. Civilizations and states induce hate and instigate wars. They deprive people of being what they are, which they had been before. Humans only equal to other animals, yet governments have caused such evil as polluting the earth we all inhabit. Gatherers in small tribes in prehistoric times with healthier lives compared to being oppressed and terrorized. As we've all been for about 5,000 years, governments control people via making them hate and fear. Empire is weak, doomed to collapse. That reality is out of its grasp. It's instigating yet more wars to cause its own demise like suicide. People will be fed up and will react to resist the warmongering regime, no longer fooled by its schemes. It has brutalized this earth and its inhabitants, yet it can barely maintain its own terror campaigns. Its occupations and wars have exhausted it. Dismantle and abolish it. Kedrick to head trip. Cacti Pterosaur.
Civilized societies entirely for shills. Inside, psychiatry kills by prescribing pills to cause depression and anxiety, thus depriving its targets of survival skills. Civilized societies entirely for shills. Inside, psychiatry kills by prescribing pills to cause depression and anxiety, thus depriving its targets of survival skills. The populace is systematically poisoned by a pharmaceutical industry that brutally despises liberty, as the poison pushers avoid all liability. Barely even discreetly, quarantines are caused by corporate greed to sell vaccines, after sanitation had already decreased deaths from infectious diseases by 90% before the vaccine shed the germs to spread. Hence the fear-mongering is measly. The vaccinated majority are brutally duped, given shots like they forgot surviving chickenpox. Poison pushers walk all over us until we make them run away from us, thus before us. Because they exploit us, they contaminate the water and pollute the air, and hate us because we dare to care. Newscasters who spew disaster don't inform those who view that a fashionable discrimination, mentalism or sanism, a variation of ableism or disableism, is endorsed as preferable, while everybody who's stigmatized and ostracized is considered expendable and detestable for being traumatized and almost universally despised. Many are forcibly drugged and electroshocks to be vegetables. It's disturbing to describe such reprehensible atrocities enforced by probate judges who hold the grudges. Well, the reporters don't want to realize they stigmatize those who would probably save their lives. Fear sells, I'm not buying. Measles isn't a death sentence. Censorship of a documentary is barely even trying. The fear-mongering is blatant, denying and lying. Measles isn't bubonic plague, shuts feeble claims aren't even as vague. Rather than opposite the truth, the populace is too afraid to comprehend proof. There's distress when the press will degrade a minority who couldn't weaken any herd immunity. That's inherently absurd, brutally undeterred by scrutiny. is oppressive because it's coercive, thus indefensible. There can be internment, or worse, for those who don't get vaccinated on schedule. The autists are stigmatized by lies and portrayed as expendable. Autism doesn't cause rampages. The savant syndrome misdiagnosed. While geniuses are locked in cages. The reprehensible sadistic staff will drug shock misdiagnose to push the drugs to those who thought they were immunized. Disease is exacerbated. Only a minority are unvaccinated. The harm caused by measles is exaggerated. The idea of a herd immunity weakened by a minority is outrageous. Like bogus bands and badges are those who didn't catch anything and therefore are apparently not contagious. Doped up staff are sociopaths who laugh as they steal opiates from the detoxification wards they're working at, forcing prisoners into rehabilitation. This invasion is futile. It's desperation when the pushers resort to slandophrenia. Therapy can't be forced. Pushers label anybody mentally ill without evidence. They pretend they had grounds to torture while claiming to medicate those whom they denigrate to decimate. It's never therapeutic when against their will. For freedom from psychiatry, force and fraud I easily see through a facade. Civilized society's entirely for shills. And psychiatry kills by prescribing pills to cause depression and anxiety, thus depriving its targets of survival skills. Civilized society's entirely for shills. And psychiatry kills by prescribing pills to cause depression and anxiety, thus depriving its targets of survival skills.
There ought to be more resistance to psychiatry because of what's so violently endorsed within society. Abusers at hospitals who violate patients get away with it by portraying the abused individuals as monsters. Rebels left the hateful faculty members dismembered, the old scalps protruding from their own nostrils. Brutality was inflicted upon me by those who tried to moralize with me. I was experimented on. I wouldn't willingly be a pawn. The allegedly independent fact checkers were nowhere to be found. The allegedly independent fact checkers were nowhere to be found. The atrocities liars said there weren't any such atrocities rampant. Psychiatry, hateful, insane society. Twas conundrums to suffering slums, where there isn't any independence. When the predatory staff members vowed revenge, they meant it. They boast that they're above the law. They'll regret it. They'll regret it when supposed to corn husk you like they caught some war tusk to the jaw. Too many prescribers are liars and so scarecrow-esque. Hence, rebels spinning them into oblivion while decorating in a manner so grotesque. Do not denigrate the dead. Who were prescribed falsely advertised drugs to get depressed. The predators prescribe drugs to cause symptoms, either while taking them or withdrawing from them. Blank checks are given to the most inhumane and sadistic, the whole lot of them. A victim fled the group home racket, so the abuser sent the cops to where I reside. I intervened to protect her, and I could have died. Abusers at Gilead Community Services are preventing her from escaping a predator. A crooked cop couldn't possibly be given any consent from her. Women flee from group homes rather than to them. They flee from the predators who make a killing by abusing them. Victims aren't allowed to transition out of group homes. The abusers are tracking their phones. The CEO knows about the domestic violence inflicted upon a so-called client. I tried to rescue her from the group home racket. He's a predator who forced her back in it.